Long ago, there was a great battle between two enemy armies. The battle began in the morning as the sun was rising in the east. The two great armies began to fight. And all day, under the hot, burning sun, the armies continued fighting and fighting and fighting. They were cutting and killing each other. They were stabbing and slashing. Well, at the end of the day, when the sun was setting in the west, only two soldiers were left, still fighting. All the other soldiers had died. The cold night, the dark night, was coming. So finally, these two enemy soldiers, they stopped fighting. And they went to find wood. They wanted to build fires. Now both soldiers, they found some wood, but it was not enough. And now it was getting darker and colder, and the two soldiers, they looked at each other, and they came together. They put the wood together, and they made one big fire. And they took off their helmets, and they took off their armor, and they put down their swords, and they cooked food together, and they shared food together. And then, in the dark night, in the light of the fire, and in the light of the moon, the two soldiers began to share stories. First, they shared stories about other great battles they had fought in. And then the stories got more personal. They began to share stories about their childhood. When they were boys, they both liked sports, they both liked exercise. And then they began to share stories about their families, about their wives, about their children, about their homes. They shared stories long into the night. Well, the next morning, the sun rose in the east again, and the two soldiers knew they had to fight. They had to finish their battle. So they put on their armor, and they put on their helmets, and they picked up their swords, and they got ready to fight. One soldier must die. And they looked in each other's eyes. But then, in the end, they didn't fight. They couldn't fight. Instead, they put away their swords and they went home to their families. Why? Because when you listen to the stories of your enemies, they cannot be your enemies anymore.